What's up, crew? Welcome back to Libertalia Game Supply. We're going to take a look at an updated Bujin list. I've been trying to play around with a few different things here just to see if there's anything interesting that can be done. So I made a few changes that are, I guess, fairly significant. So we'll get into it real quick. Triple Torifun, your main starter. Tribute to Summon 2. This is what gets all your plays going. Unfortunately, there's really not a good secondary option. So we try to play additional extenders if we can, but that's really the one and only. We're playing 2 Mahitatsu. I tried this out at 1. The problem is with the Torifun, if you don't have this as a target, it kind of kills a lot of your follow-up plays just because this has that Foolish Burial effect. And in this build, we need that Banish Zone setup as well. So the Banish and the Dump are doubly important. And so you don't want to just be drawing your 1 copy of it. So had to keep it at 2. Then we got 3 Arasuda. I chose 3 on this one just because, in my opinion, it's the best extender in the Bujin archetype that can still be normal summoned or summoned off of Torifun if it came down to it and you needed it to. And its trigger effect is pretty easy. So it was between this and Harume, which we're playing 2 of here. Harume needs something in the graveyard, so if you were to open just this and no way to set up your graveyard and all your extenders are out of archetype extenders, this doesn't let you start getting into your Bujin stuff, whereas this at least lets you normal summon it. And so 3 just felt like the better option there, and you really need the Bujin extenders. And then we're playing the 1 Haruko. This is where I made that cut. What would have been Mahitatsu to 1 became this. The extra deck relies a lot less so on the Bujin stuff now, so the 1 Haruko for the 1 rank up seemed to work just fine. We're only playing 2 targets anyway, and only 1 is really going to see a ton of play. For Bujingis, we've got the 1 Turtle to negate targeting effect, the 1 Hare to stop something from being destroyed, the 1 Quillen to pop a face up, and the 1 Sinew for that honest effect out of the graveyard. I ended up taking out the Centipede as well to make room for some of the other stuff. I still like the Centipede, but this seems like a good enough side deck card. It just pops back row. And if you play against something that isn't as reliant on back row, it's kind of just a body for Torifun. And with the 4, you shouldn't run out of Torifun targets immediately. You should be able to resolve it at least twice, I would think. Plus, we have ways of recycling them, so 4 still felt fine. For our first supplementary archetype, we got 1 Lubellion, 1 Druisworm, and 1 Magnum Hut. I was playing around with 2 of these. I was playing around with cutting the Lubellion. Lubellion is nice because it's a small world bridge as well as being searchable off of small world in a lot of different ways in this deck because of our hand trap lineup. And being able to search into this, especially going second to go into an easy Chaos Angel, just felt like it was worth keeping. If you were to open one of these guys instead, you just got a free bridge there rather than drawing into it and using it for something. And then these guys are what I'm kind of excited about here with this deck. So we got 1 Corridor and 1 Flag, tiny little Nemesis package here. So this is searchable off of Infernal Flame Banshee, and that's a generic rank 4. So it's really easy to go into a Thunder Dragon Colossus with Corridor here, and that's kind of what I've based this version of the deck around. So we got 1 of each there. If you happen to draw them, they're not bad. You could just use them anyway, and you don't have to search them. So it's pretty nice. I like it a lot, and it's a small enough package. For our hand traps, we're going 2 Veiler, 2 Ogre, and 2 Nibiru. I went 2s on all of them just because none of them I like seeing a whole lot of multiple copies of. They're all once per turn. And so having 2 of any one in your hand is not so good. I was at 1 Nibiru, but I felt like having the second one was probably good to have because you don't know if you're going first or second. It's really good going second, not so good going first. All of these bridge you from 1 Bujin to your Torifun, or I guess any other Bujin if you had your Torifun. So they also act as ways to set up your combo in your opening hand there. For spells, we're going triple Tenki, as well as 1 Tensu. Tensu, I've gone back and forth on playing this over the years. The reason it's in this one is because having that extra Bujin extender is pretty nice in being able to build from what would be kind of a decent board to a much better board, adding an extra negate or whatever. So this would turn any of your Bujins that can be normal summoned into an extender if you don't happen to draw into the Arasuda or the Harume. And so it's also searchable with the Tiger King. So this is the lineup I chose for that. I think it works pretty nice. We're still playing the 3 Small World. It just searches pretty much everything in the deck can be searched in one way or another with this. So even the Dark Bystials, you can bridge a hand trap into Haruko into a Bystial if that's what you need and you don't need the rank up. Everything else is pretty easy to use Lubellion or the hand trap to get to Lubellion or hand trap. It all is interlaced really nicely. So in this deck in particular, I think this is pretty good. Then for some hand trap hate, we've got the double crossout designator and the one called by. I might even bump this up to 3 at some point just because you can play through a negate okay depending on what you open because you got enough extenders to kind of push through. A Nibiru ruins this deck because we can't feel the negate before summon 5 or on summon 5, and so you need to be able to deal with that if you can. Obviously called by does not, so that would be why I would bump this to 3, but for now I think 2 is good enough. We got the one Foolish because it is a graveyard based deck, and then we got the 3 Imperm because it's very good and very pretty. Now for the extra deck here, we also got a few changes. We got the one Ahashima for our Link, but we're playing a couple extra links. So we got the one Pit Knight early and the one Nightmare Unicorn. This would be in SP, but I simply couldn't buy the Starlight rare version of it, and I wouldn't buy the secret rare because they're going to reprint it and it's going to be worth nothing, and that sounds painful. But this is my lineup right now. Pit Knight early is a really nice card in this deck, especially with those Nemesis guys. So if you open a couple extenders extra than what you need to build the board you want, you can just throw this on there in a link zone with Ahashima, and I'll go over this at the end of the video here, and then have this point to your F-Zero, and that would give you the negate of the F-Zero plus the negate of the Pit Knight early. So it felt like it's really nice. It's pretty generic. And like I said, SP will go here if I end up getting one eventually. For the Bujin lineup, we got double Susanoo for the search and the attack everything, the one Kagutsuchi for protection and grind, and the one Amaterasu, just a combo piece. You would rank up into it and then summon something out of your banish zone. You have a lot of ways to get that extender, so this is a lot less important now, but I still like playing it because it's a pretty good one. We're playing the one Tiger King. It can search your Tenki and your Tensu, so 2 possible extender searches there. This probably is cuttable at some point if something better comes out. I'm really hoping for some support. Oh, the one thing I think the deck is really lacking is a way to summon the monsters out of the graveyard within the archetype. So if you could get like an Xyz monster or even a main deck monster would be better that can give you the summon out of the graveyard, this would probably be cut for that. We got the one Infernal Flame Banshee, important for the Nemesis stuff. So you would summon this, detach, search flag, summon flag, flag effect, search corridor, summon corridor, attribute corridor for Thunder Dragon Colossus. I'm playing the one full armored Utopic Ray Lancer. This is just an interesting card to me. It's got a battle phase negate effect. It can attack twice and it reduces everything by 500. So this can be just huge damage. If you destroy something, it can attack again, which is effectively at 3Ks at 25, and it will reduce them all by 500. I like this better when I still had the Galaxy Photon Dragon that searches the Photon Sanctuary from the deck, because if you ended up not using it, you would just use it as discard to rank up into this. If you don't know, what it does is it can rank up itself using any rank 4 or lower Xyz monster by discarding a spell or trap from your hand. We don't play a ton of spells and traps, but you can end up with redundant copies, so having this just as like a little extra push and making use out of your hand that couldn't otherwise be useful is just pretty nice, I think. Then we got our F-Zeros and our Zeus. We'll just put them all together. This is kind of like the main boss monster in the deck at this point. But we got a couple extras now too with Thunder Dragon and Chaos Angel, and then the Zeus just to kind of hit the reset button. And then speaking of which, we got Thunder Dragon and Chaos Angel, just the Floodgate, the Banish, the Protection, just really cool cards that fit into the deck pretty well now. Alright, so for this combo you need your Torifun or a way to search it, so Small World or Tenki, one of your extenders, a Bujin one specifically, so Arasuda, Harume, or Haruko, or something to search it, and then any other level 4 Bujin that you can summon off of the Ahashima. So that's any of them other than Harume. So we'll start with these 3. I'll just mention ahead of time, just with this, Torifun plus any level 4 that can be summoned with Ahashima can get you to Ahashima plus either an F-Zero or a Colossus. So just those 2 cards gets you a pretty nice monster. Having the extra extender gets you both. So depending on what the rest of your hand looks like, you would just make the decision from there. We'll start off with that normal summon of Torifun, use the effect for the tribute and the special summon. Now for the special summon here, I'm always grabbing Mahitatsu because it gets that graveyard and banish zone set up, and then this can be anything. We want to have hair in the graveyard. In this instance, I had it in the hand to open. We just want it in the graveyard at some point for the Nemesis stuff because it's the only one that can trigger and banish itself out of the graveyard without needing something on the board to do so. It can just burn its own effect, and you can recycle it with the Nemesis, so that is what we're looking for. For now, we're going to use this. We'll banish the Torifun that we had in the graveyard. We'll just stick that down here. And then to send to the graveyard, we'll dump the turtle. I really like the turtle because things target, you can negate it. So turtle will be in the graveyard, and we'll just set it off to the side for now. So now, right here on that banish, you're going to trigger your Arasuda in hand. If you didn't have the Arasuda and you had the Harume, you would just banish something out of the graveyard to summon that instead at some point. It doesn't have to be right now, but for right now, we'll throw the Arasuda on board, and then we're going to go into our Ahashima. So we'll link away 2, fill up that graveyard a little bit more, and then Ahashima will hit the board. Ahashima's effect will activate, so we do have this extra Bujin in hand, and then we'll grab the Mahitatsu out of the graveyard, and it'll summon both, and then it will overlay immediately into an Xyz monster. So right here, we're going to make the Susanoo, and then we're going to search another extender. So we'll detach the Mahitatsu for now because we want to banish it with the extender that we search. We'll grab the Harume. We'll banish the Mahitatsu right away, so we'll throw that over there with Torifun, and then Harume hits the board. So now we're going to overlay again Arasuda and Harume, and we're going to make our Infernal Flame Banshee, and this is what's going to get us into our Nemesis stuff. So we'll detach one. I guess it doesn't really matter what you detach. They're both going to end up in the graveyard at some point here. And then we're going to search for our Nemesis Flag to our hand. So Nemesis Flag, we have our 2 banished monsters in Torifun and Mahitatsu, but it can be any banished monster. So if you had gone second and you used a Bujingi or something, you can just recycle it. So we'll special summon it by returning one of them back to the deck, so either one is fine. We'll use the effect to search the corridor, and then we'll return the other one to the deck to summon it. So now we have access to that Thunder Dragon Colossus. We'll just make that right away. Throw Colossus on board, so now no searching, get wrecked. We have our F-Zero right here. Before we do that, I'll mention, so you have this extra body, and for this instance, it'll be just stuck here. But if you had any additional extenders, so one of your Bystials or any other way to field another monster, you would put Pit Knight early here instead, and you would put the F-Zero pointing to it, because then you have the negate and steal with the F-Zero, and the attack reduction and negate here, and then the no searching, so the additional negate would be pretty nice. Instead, what is less good but still fine is we're going to make the F-Zero. Those will go to the graveyard, so your Bujingis are all loaded up, and we'll go little F-Zero, big F-Zero. And so now, because this is pointing here, and we'll center this up so we can see it, you're instead going to have this negate and steal, a back row pop off of this, and then still the no search. So that'll wrap it up for today. Let me know if you got any other interesting ideas for techs or any other ratios that you think I'm not considering at the moment. I'd love to hear about it. Happy deck building. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Goodbye.